Hey there, it is Friday, March 1st. The time is 5:55 p.m. and the temperature right now is around 6 degrees Celsius. And I'm here on Front Street East. I'm currently walking west in the St. Lawrence neighborhood. And for this one, I'll be revisiting one of the first ever narrated walks I did on this channel. And that was back in June of 2020. But first, let's take a look at the Gooderham Flatiron Building. And that went up in 1892. And it served the Gooderham and Worts Distillery. There's a Queen streetcar. That is diverting to the recently re-implemented streetcar tracks on Wellington. And in that video back in 2020, I started right where I started this one. And I went west along Wellington Street. And we're going to be doing the same thing, although this time we'll be swinging through the Well, which did not exist last time. That's a very large development that opened up just a few months ago at Wellington and Spadina. It's kind of a large indoor-outdoor shopping center. It also features a number of condos and offices. The Distillery District, as well as the St. Lawrence Market, are off to the east on Front Street. But now I am on Wellington Street. And Wellington runs between Church Street, just behind me, and Strawn Avenue. There's an excellent northern Thai restaurant, Suko Thai. If you're ever there, do yourself a favor and get the cow soy. And just across the street is Birksey Park. And that mural on the back of the Flatiron Building was done by Daniel Besant. At least I believe that's his name. So once I get west of Yonge Street, we'll be in the financial district. Sorry, it's Derek Besant. I knew his first name started with a D, but it sounded wrong when I said it. And if I remember to, I'll put a link to that narrated video I did back in June of 2020. I just kind of listened to it briefly before I came out. I sounded kind of nervous and jittery and not too sure of myself. I still think I sound like that, but I guess over 1,000 videos later, maybe I'm just a little bit better at it.
It was like you could walk and do this or see some art.
And Wellington Street is something of an afterthought through the financial district. Most of the major towers on it either face Front Street to the south or King Street to the north. And we're at Yonge Street. This is the main east-west divide. And that's a look to the north. So I just walked Wellington Street East. Now we're about to start walking along Wellington Street West. You can see a GO train slowly finding its way into Union Station just to the south of here. And you'll notice Wellington is a one-way street for this stretch. I think that's between Church and Simcoe Streets. And since the last time, or since that original video I recorded through here, they have erected a cycleway. We'll be walking along that later. I believe that starts just after Blue Jays Way. And that runs all the way to the end of Wellington Street in Liberty Village. I'm trying to think if I've ever been to that restaurant Jump. I know it's been one of the higher rated restaurants downtown, at least since the 90s. Oh, that's a neat view of Commerce Court North. It's an old Art Deco skyscraper erected in the 1930s, and Scotia Plaza pretty much directly behind it. Of all the major streets in the financial district, in terms of foot traffic, this is probably the least busiest. And during the summer months in particular, it's not uncommon to see film crews set up on the street. Toronto often stands in for New York City in various productions, or just any generic American city. And this is a popular street to film scenes on. It's relatively nondescript. There are those pesky streetcar tracks, though. And we're at Bay Street, and there is the Walrus. I've been to a few corporate events there. There's a look north. Sounds like there's a commotion just to the south of here around Front Street. Someone's yelling quite loudly. We'll take this moment to admire the RBC towers. Things are generally a bit quieter in the financial district on a Friday afternoon. And I imagine that's doubly so since the pandemic. That's the TD Center on the right, the famous Mies van der Rohe designed TD Center. This, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the imposter buildings, not included in the original design, but done in a fashion that mimics the originals. Neat look at the St. Regis, formerly the Trump Tower, right in between those two TD Center towers. And this is York Street coming up. And I imagine it will be pretty dark by the time I get to the well. Let's find out. Hey Google, when is sunset tonight?
Today, sunset is at 6:07 p.m.
6:07 p.m. And it is exactly 6:07 p.m. now. I found the Google Assistant to be much faster at providing local info and more accurate than Siri. Siri often just returns you an internet search. And we're at University Avenue. I did a twilight walk down University a few nights ago, and that should be up on the channel by now. There's a look to the north. You know what? I want to walk by this place, Beer Town. It opened up during the pandemic, and I have never been there. And given the timing, I was a little surprised that it stayed open. But it seems to be doing a very healthy business.
Hello?
I'm sure there's a good after-work weekend crowd there. There's a place called Craft on Yonge Street. That seems quite similar in nature. But it's great to see that place is alive and kicking. And it looks like there's plans for a 68-story tower on this lot. Or at least a proposed development. I'm sure it'll have a path connection, which is the large underground city that runs underneath the financial district. We're at Simcoe Street. There's Roy Thompson Hall. I think I said it became a two-way street somewhere else, but it starts here at Simcoe Street. And there is David Peacut Square. This building here with McCann on it is part of Metro Hall, a rather hideous complex that went up in 1992. It's built as municipal buildings for the city of Toronto. And on the left we have the Ritz-Carlton. Always sporting some fancy cars out front. I just realized I accused this building of being hideous. But I didn't really show why. You know, you're getting old when hopping up on this thing is something you want to do and your body tells you no, don't do it. Also get a pretty neat view through here. I said that just as that lady whipped out her camera. So from a great view to a horrible one, in my opinion. It looks like one of those civic centers or city halls that a suburban center would barf up. Although the colors aren't quite as offensive in this lighting, I think everything looks kind of good right now. And this is the Eternal Flame of Hope. It's not really making my point, but come here in the day. That's kind of an ugly color with not the nicest design, just a random assortment of geometric shapes. I'm still trying to get used to one-handing this giant phone. Just wanted to take a few pictures here. Whoop. Sorry about that. We'll be on our way. And we emerge with a view of the CBC headquarters. And that's been there since 1992. So back to Wellington Street. This is John Street. And you could head south here and head to the CN Tower and the Sky Dome. And you'll notice that once more, Wellington is a one-way street, so there was just that stretch after Wellington where it was in two directions. There's a Residence Inn Marriott. Not sure why I picked this to do one of my first ever narrated walks. Maybe because it was a bit quieter. Not entirely sure. And in the 90s, this area used to be a sea of parking lots, feeding large events at the Sky Dome and Metro Convention Center. And this is one of the few remaining ones. And this is Blue Jays Way, although north of King Street, it is Peter Street. And it was renamed Blue Jays Way after the first World Series win in the 90s. And they'd go on to win back-to-back titles. And they haven't been back since. And I forgot to point out, after Blue Jays Way, this two-way cycleway begins. Some great new bike infrastructure. And if you are driving, you'll be forced to turn right here onto Spadina. You can't continue straight onto Wellington Street, but it does resume after Spadina, as you'll see in a moment. And this has become quite the encampment. It's also a pretty substantial collection of bikes and e-bikes. And generators, probably charging some of those batteries. I'm not so sure all of these bikes were acquired through legitimate means. Not accusing anyone of anything, but it is what it is. And there is the Well straight ahead. That's a massive new development. Includes over 1.1 million square feet of office space. And over 500,000 square feet dedicated to retail and restaurants. And there's something in the neighborhood of 1,700 commercial units or residential units. So I'll just head down to the entrance over there. Close to Spadina and Front Street. And we will walk through the Well. And you can see the bike lane continues here.
We're gonna go and use the thing. Use
And the last time I went through here in a video was during the holidays. And it wasn't very busy. I went through here a few weeks ago, I think, during a live stream. Probably closer to a month ago. There's the signature City Place towers. Looks like they may have topped out. Very modernist design here. There's a pretty good coffee shop I've been to before right there. It doesn't look like it's open at the moment, but the Adidas store is open. There's some furniture stores. On this floor, it is quite dead. I can't imagine they imagined it would be this quiet. And I haven't been upstairs since before it was built. Let's head up there and take a look. Or at least not since the grand opening. Looks like this down escalator isn't functioning. It's an interesting concept for a city with such cold winters. There's the Warner Music Group. A dentist, a bank. Most of the shops here are relatively high-end. There's some very expensive furniture shops. Design Republic. That one is called Black Rooster Decor. There's also a Struck Tube, which is relatively affordable. It's quite dark in here. Feels kind of uninviting. But some of the architecture and details, I have to admit, are fantastic. Yoga and Pilates. Arcadia Earth has recently opened, it looks like. That would be the main anchor store in Indigo Books. And a Shoppers Drug Mart. I almost think they need like a movie theater in here, just to make the whole complex more of a draw. There's a look out onto Wellington Street. That sky is pretty awesome now. An hour-long, multi-sensory 10-room journey filled with large-scale installations and exciting, immersive tech. I wonder if they allow recording in there. Opening in 2023, so I've backed myself into a dead end, maybe.
you only see.
Well, I was going to pop out on the other side. This floor seems to be lacking opportunities to head downstairs. Apparently there's a terrace. Oh well, that was certainly exciting. Oh well. I hope you enjoyed this one along Wellington Street, starting at Church in Wellington, making my way west over to and through the Well. I'm gonna wrap up. I might just live stream now. This will be my last chance to live stream in Toronto for quite a while. So let me know your thoughts and comments down below. If you wish to support the channel, there's links to Patreon and YouTube channel membership in the description. I just threw up a members exclusive video on the channel yesterday for members and Patreon supporters, silver tier and higher. I have a seldom updated Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is also a super thanks button appearing below the video if you wish to say thanks that way. Anywho, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Thank you for watching. Stay warm, stay safe, and I will catch you on the next one. Yoink!